We now know one player advancing to the round of 16 here from Group B already, and that player is Liquid Snoot that we have on the line right now. How are you doing, man?
So. I'm happy to advance first, so it's still possible with top 2 Liquid advancing, so I'm hoping for MaNa to win.
That's true. Okay, so first question from me is that last series against Bling. I'm under the impression that you came into the group pretty confident. The series against Bling was maybe a little bit closer than was anticipated. Can you elaborate on if you felt that that was going to be that close?
After I was at the Take TV tournament, then I was feeling quite confident, but in practice the last week I've been doing quite bad against Protoss, so I didn't really have a lot of confidence going into this group, but I just wanted to rely on my average skill, I guess, all the practice I've done, so it fortunately just worked out, but I was not confident at all.
Okay. All right. So a lot of people are looking at you as the best non-Korean player so far. 2 questions off the back of that. First of all, do you think you are? And second of all, do you think that you can work your way to the global finals at the end of the year?
I don't think so. I think right now Vortex is probably the best, but the difference between the 2 of us is that I have the chance to go more to tournaments than he does, so I can get to play official matches more often. But if I can keep going to tournaments and tournaments that have WCS points, and if I can do like really amazingly, even if my skill is okay, it's still it's still not amazing compared to the Koreans. But if I get lucky throughout the year, then top 16 could be possible.
Well,
but
congratulations, because you are top 16 now after today's win. You are now inside the global finals top 16. So I guess that, if you didn't know already, is a nice little victory there, and hopefully you can continue to do so for the rest.
Thank you.
All right, well, we're going to wrap this up. Snoot, are there any shout-outs that you'd like to give?
Would like to thank my team for all the support, and our sponsors, HyperX, Barracuda, Twitch, Razer, Shiny Things, and Need for Seat. And I also want to give a special thanks to Wellmood, Todd, Lilbo, and Soke for helping me practice for today.
All right, well, thank you very much, Snoot, and congratulations once again. We'll see you at the live shows.
Thank you.
All right, see you later. Okay, time for match number 4. It is the lower bracket game now between Kerr and MaNa. So, which player is going to move on to face off for the opportunity against Bling to be second in today's group? Both of these players have lost 0-2 already. MaNa is much more the established player than Kerr is. MaNa has been in the Premier League before. MaNa's won major tournaments before. Kerr is debuting today. Kerr is a completely new player into the WCS system, qualifying through Challenger, into Challenger, and now makes his first game here today.
And it makes him a dangerous opponent because of what we saw from him in Challenger and the fact that his record against Protoss has been all right compared. So we'll find out what's going to happen in this series. It could be dangerous for this man up to the top right-hand corner as our red Protoss. It is Liquid MaNa. And down to the bottom right, we have our blue Protoss representing Alien Invasion. It is Kerr.
So we've already seen MaNa play out a Protoss versus Protoss today earlier on against Bling. And if you didn't watch that, it was quite one-sided, let's say. You know, he attempted a cannon rush in game number 1. And then after that, he tried to play out a game which he got a little bit outplayed and was always in a behind position and then couldn't really find the right angle to do well. And again, he's coming into this series with a faster opening, a more aggressive opening here. It's a 10 gateway against Kerr. And with a 10 gateway here, he should be playing up against a 13 gateway, so he does have, you know, roughly 30 seconds or so difference between, 20, 30 seconds between the 2 of them. He was either looking to put on gateway aggression, 3 gateway aggression, or he's looking to rush out the Cybernetics core to rush out a form of tech.
Yeah.
Unfortunately for him, he's going to be scouted really, really, really early on.
from what we're seeing from MaNa so far in this matchup, it's striking me that he's not 100% confident in the ability to like drag it out and draw it out and go further into the match.
Yeah.
So,
or is Kerr looking to scout early on?
Oh. All right, then.
Looks like we're going to see a second pylon on the other side of the map for a random luck draw Stargate on the other side.
Where are you going? What is this?
Oh, looks like they're both hiding tech.
All right. PvP. Fun times.
All right, so this is going to be a little bit interesting. What is MaNa exactly hiding here with this fact? Is it like, are they both going Stargate here?
The thing is, if he hides Stargate here, and then there's a Stargate here, like, any unit will fly across this. So he will find its location, but then MaNa could arguably also deduce that it's over here as well. I guess they're both going Stargate. Unless this is like a Twilight Council hiding spot, because why would you hide it here of all locations right next to you if you want to get over to your opponent as quickly as possible?
Yep, not sure exactly what this is.
It's obviously, well, the Stargate from Kerr, no doubt, but it could be Twilight Council still. There we go.
Now, this is a little bit awkward because Kerr, and this is, I mean, if you think about this, they've not scouted each other, they've just chosen this. This is what they've chosen. And it's a little bit unfortunate for both players here, or more fortunate for Kerr than MaNa, because they're going to interact together. And the way that these builds are going to interact is Kerr's going to build an Oracle.
Yes.
He's proxied the gateway. It's going to fly over the Twilight Council and into a mineral line, which is going to be undefended pretty much.
Sentry's on the way.
An undefended mineral line, and also MaNa gets his tech scouted. Double whammy. This is dangerous. Even it's the Dark Shrine as well, so it's all going to be scouted, and this is just wonderful for Kerr.
Yeah.
This is completely lucky, but wonderful for him.
I mean, with the way in which this is shaping up, there's going to be like very, very little anti-air. This is just an instant win as soon as that Oracle flies in, unless he dances around forever.
This is, I mean, the Photon Overcharge is available if the Mothership Core gets back in time, but this is just very sad. When both players elect to gamble like this, if both players gamble, one of them is going to come out luckier than the other.
Yeah.
This time it's Kerr.
And there is a sentry. I mean, this Oracle can turn around and kill the sentry, and then that's it. He's trying to separate his probes up to like lose as little as possible, but in the end, just chrono boosting out this, and he's going to hope for Dark Templars to do something, but the Robo's already on the way back home for Kerr.
Yeah, so Kerr has dealt 8 probe kills to MaNa, 17 supply, 18 supply to 34, and the DTs have already been spotted. What Kerr can do, looking at this, is even warp in a sentry, and then, he'll probably just go for the Observer. Looking at his gas, he doesn't have that much gas, but he can always use the Oracle to support this. But he keeps the threat of an Oracle out there, and even a second one. This is quite bad for MaNa.
Yes, it is.
It's quite bad. The Observer's on its way. The Oracle's there just in case. Doesn't quite have enough energy. It's there just in case.
There's a few Zealots trying to create a full wall off, but even if they didn't wall off, they would buy time for just a little second there from one swipe. There you go. GG.
Kerr wins this, and MaNa finds himself with 3 map losses in a row within the Premier League today. A disappointing performance so far, but he has to turn it around here. Otherwise, he's going straight back to where he came from, and that's, of course, Challenger.
Without all the tomfoolery there in game number 1, the game could have gone entirely differently. We don't know just yet what will happen if we see a normal game from both of these players. But if anything, if we're to take Kerr, for example, and look at what he's done in Protoss versus Protoss as of late, all we need to do is look back to Genius's series against him, and Kerr is not afraid to go for shenanigans. He's not afraid to go even for proxy gateways. Things like this are available to him, and now with a 1-game lead in this best of 3, there's a lot available.
This is a massive jump start for the unknown, I think we can say. The only player ever to play in Premier League from Lithuania has now pushed himself with his first victory in Premier League, so congratulations on that. But now he really has to seal the deal. Going over to Waste Station now. With Protoss versus Protoss, there is, of course, as we described, an element of randomness when it comes to gaining advantages versus certain builds. That is heightened, incredibly heightened when both players play like this.
Oh, yeah.
It's completely random to a certain degree if both players want to make it like that. In this case, they did, which is how it kind of rolled like that. It was, you know, scissors beating paper.
Yep. And there you go. So now, Way Station for map number 2. Both of these players are almost ready to get into our second game. I think MaNa here is just playing the most stable game of his life because this is his last chance. He has to win this map, otherwise he is out of Premier League again and back into Challenger, where he's got to compete in a best of 5 against who knows who. It could be anybody.
Who's going to qualify, who's going to drop down a Challenger as well. It's obviously a lot more difficult. With a win today like Snoot has, you're guaranteed, obviously, to continue on within this tournament, but also guarantee your spot in Premier already for the following season. So it is a massive, massive win if you're able to advance from your group here in the round of 32. But if MaNa plays a safe, super cautious style, it can be exploited. That mentality can easily be exploited because that will allow Kerr to take risks, to gamble, to fast expand versus a cautiously played out Protoss opener. Lots of opportunities here for Kerr to exploit. But how is MaNa going to approach this now? 3 map losses in a row. Needs to put one on the scoreboard. And
this is Way Station, as you mentioned before, a map where we saw Kerr go for a proxy straight away against Genius in the very first game of their series. So anything could happen. Let's get into it. Game number 2, as we have spawning up to the top left-hand corner are Red Protoss, representing Team Liquid. 1 game away from ultimate defeat. It is MaNa. And down to the bottom right-hand corner are Blue Protoss, representing Alien Invasion. It's Kerr.
These positions, if you didn't know on Way Station, you can spawn in 2 different positions, both of you. You either play top left, which MaNa is spawned, or bottom right, or you can spawn in the bottom left and play against the top right. So you either play in different diagonal positions. In these positions, the map is a lot longer compared to if they played the other way, which would favor a more defensive setup, potentially. MaNa, is he going to try to play to the map in terms of, is he going to try and go for a fast expansion build, or 1 gateway expansion? Does he try to, blink pressure into expanding with a robotics facility, which is another very safe build, gives you a bit of an element of aggression, but also an expansion? What are the builds going to be chosen? So far, 13 gateway versus 13 gateway, so it looks like we are going to see 2 regular openers. Should be looking at both 13 gateways and also both double gases. Very rare that you see just a single gas. As a single gas would indicate aggression, and that is easily picked up by a probe scout.
Yep. It takes a while for that probe scout to get out there if they're going to send it delayed, you're right. But in the end, normally they do end up getting him. And for now, both players were actually scouting out proxy locations in their main base, at least. MaNa is going to make sure that no proxy down here, like Kerr used against Genius, is going to be spotted, or used even. And Kerr is also scouting out the same location. So neither player playing too risky just yet.
MaNa getting into 3 in all gas, and Kerr doing it a little bit slower, as he's in 3 and 2. So a little bit more mineral focus here for Kerr. Cybernetics cores are going to start just about the same time. Still no real way to look at how this is going to play out so far, as Kerr is just the one with a little bit of a gas lead by about 40 gas, 50 gas, which would mean that whatever tech choice, if he was going for one, would be faster. And they're both about to go in and scout each other, so both can identify that anything is possible from this position.
Yep, at least he sees the 3rd pylon going down, which is a nice little bit of reassurance here for MaNa, going up against Kerr, considering that was a proxy in the previous game. Unfortunately, though, Kerr hasn't seen a 3rd pylon just yet, so he's going to be a little bit wary. Stick around for maybe a little bit longer.
He has seen the 2nd gateway, though.
Oh, yeah, he did.
That is coming in here, so he has 2 gateways here. That still says the man is capable of anything, but he's not rushing out of tech because you can't afford a 2nd gateway with a super fast tech either. So this now... Oh, the probe is... I can't believe the probe stayed in there.
Yeah.
That's rather big if MaNa doesn't check, because what that probe is looking for, is this a 3rd gateway coming down or 2 gateway later tech? Either way, Kerr's decided to go 1 gateway Twilight. There's the later tech coming in. And this is pretty good here for Kerr if he spots this, which he should be able to. He's going to be able to go for Blink himself here.
Yep.
He's going to be able to play a nice Blink game versus, what, Phoenix is an Oracle, but he's got Blink Stalkers. Like, it doesn't make any sense. He's got the better end of the bargain here, and especially if he goes in and spots it.
And he's going straight on in, spots it behind the mineral line.
Beautiful pickup.
Good move there by Kerr so far.
And remember that MaNa does not know what Kerr has chosen. He immediately puts down 2 extra gateways and will be immediately getting Blink. And we're looking to pressure this.
Yeah. This is a good start for him.
He doesn't get away with a probe, which I'm pretty sure he would have liked to escape with that. I wonder if he'll send out another one here. Oh, is that?
That's a pylon down there.
A robo, okay.
MaNa, I guess he's going to actually try and pressure with Gateway after the Oracle. With his 3 gateways. I mean, it's a strong tactic, but against Blink,
he's going to die.
Yeah, it's not
if he's out in the open when Blink is done.
And he still doesn't know about the Twilight Council. And he's going to have no eyes on it for a long, long time.
All right. He knows he's been scouted. There's a Photon Overcharge to buy enough time here for Kerr to finish Blink. And he also has another Chrono Boost available to throw into that Twilight Council. So I'm a little bit worried for MaNa. He's about to go up to 3 gateways. He has the Oracle to distract. So the way that this will work out, which I don't think will really work out, but the plan usually with this, throw the Oracle as scout and also to get into the mineral line, which will drag all the units up, and then try an assault. If you can separate the units, maybe you can get a good engagement. But what we're going to see is Photon Overcharge activated as soon as the Oracle goes in, and then as soon as Blink is done, he'll just pounce down. And with the Nexus coming in from MaNa, it's going to be very hard for him to be able to deal with the counterattack potential.
Yep. A little bit of a shot there. Pushes that Oracle away straight away.
MaNa doesn't know this is Blink yet still.
And he doesn't want to reveal Blink just yet, but he might have to save that Stalker.
He'll let it die and sacrifice to pounce. He's gonna let MaNa come up for this.
Yeah. Yes. And there we go.
And now's the time to chase.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, but he's going to actually...
Well, he's waiting for Blink, I guess, but I'd be chasing here. I'd leave the Mothership Core and chase. There's the 4th gateway coming in.
Like, there's nothing those 6 Stalkers can actually do against the 8 in the middle, right? Like,
yeah, MaNa gets let loose there.
Yeah.
And he does run back. He has Mothership Core, and he also has a Twilight of his own coming in. So this is not the worst thing for MaNa. Kerr does not know about the expansion. He's still worried. But this is turning out better and better as every second that ticks by for MaNa because he's going to have Blink of his own. He'll be able to defend with 2 Photon Overcharge, has a counter-attack Oracle.
Yeah, that's...
And this is a 4th gateway coming in for Kerr.
Okay, I guess he may end up just going with this then. But again, as you mentioned, as you pointed out rightly, he's always got to be careful of that counter-attack. I think, you know, he probably just... I would argue leave the Mothership Core here for the counterattack and then just go out with everything else with the Stalkers.
That's the way that you do this, because it could be still an Oracle around, which there is. So he can use that. He's at 4 gateways. But I think this can be defended by MaNa, because Blink's not that far away, and with double Photon Overcharge, the one way that this can mess up is if somehow Kerr blinks in the main base.
Yeah.
Potentially. But with a couple of Zealots in there to rush it down, it is harder. I think Kerr may have to fall back on an expansion. I think it could be very hard to break this.
Well, the Stalkers are now going to make their way across. 15 against 9 in total. Photon Overcharge is activated, and that Oracle gets nothing done. Like 1 zap, and that's about it. And now all of those Stalkers moving across. That's a lot of Stalkers, Sean.
Still 2 Overcharges, though. And there's a robotics facility, which means he can build an Immortal with his next bit of resource. So that does assist this rather well.
Yeah, it does. The Blink forward there for a second.
If he can pick the Nexus off, then get out, win, and then fall back, but...
Mothership Core's way out of position, actually. So it'll take a while for that. He could actually get that Nexus before Photon Overcharge even goes down. He's sacrificing it.
MaNa's sacrificing it. He's like, all right, if I try and defend it, I'm in trouble.
Yeah, that's a lot of Stalkers still, and there's no Immortals out here. And this is in an area where Photon Overcharge isn't necessarily going to be too effective.
It needs to be activated.
He could just pull back for a second, loses 1 Stalker for that, but it buys him time.
Buys him time to even get a second Immortal, so it's time to expand.
Yep. And the Oracle now flying in once again. Photon Overcharge has dissipated, but there's the second one with a Stalker as well. Blinks forwards to try and do a little bit more damage, but now he's being contained.
Yeah, now he's being contained, but not for that much longer.
Yeah.
What would be really nice is I guess a Sentry could be nice for Kerr, but I think that he should be happy with his win. He doesn't need to overextend himself in this position. He's delayed the Nexus by quite a bit, but he's not in the lead. Even if the Nexus and MaNa get slapped down now, I still like MaNa's position better because of the double Immortals over just the robotics facility finishing up for Kerr.
But I think it goes back to the, well, actually, he's going to go all the way home with these Stalkers. Could have gone back to like the old ways of Protoss versus Protoss and just tried to constantly dance around with the Stalkers. But unfortunately on Waystation, there's not a huge amount of room to actually jump into the main base. So that would have been a bit difficult. And there's now the expansion on the way for MaNa.
Yeah. Still like MaNa's position a little bit better here, even with the later Nexus. It depends on if that Well, I was going to say if the Oracle could get a couple of kills would be nice, but...
Nope.
Yeah.
Oh, well. There's still a lot of Stalkers in the main base. He's 21 Stalkers to 11.
He's still adding on Stalkers too, notice that. All in the main base. So I think this Nexus is a bit of a feint.
Yeah, he could get to critical mass Stalkers. Yeah,
the way that he's playing this out is the Nexus has been shown. He's meant to be building probes, and they're both meant to be racing forward in tech. This is an interesting decision from Kerr, because MaNa's at 3 Immortals in a second, with a 4th on the way. There comes the Forge from MaNa, which is meant to be baited out here by Kerr. He's meant to be like, all right, I'm playing normal. That's just been spotted that isn't the biggest of deals. If it was closer, it was bigger. But this shouldn't tell MaNa there's going to be aggression.
Back to pro production. Huh. Kind of strange. But, so how many do we have now?
Pro production. He built them, stopped them.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, built them, stopped them.
All right, okay.
So it is 25 Stalkers to 11 with 3 Immortals and a 4th on the way. It's an opportunity to make this work.
God, that's so
there is a Photon Overcharge, which will have to be used in this position. The Observer of MaNa is way out of position.
Oh, it was so important that he contested that Watchtower as well there in the middle. But, I mean, he's shown a lot of the Stalkers now, so...
Yeah. MaNa's been tricked so far, but he may still have enough just about anyway.
4 Immortals.
Yeah, 4 Immortals is a lot.
Yeah. The force field's going to cause a little bit of problems for the Stalkers in terms of maneuverability. Of course, they can blink, but it denies a little bit of an extra concave next to this Nexus.
And Photon Overcharge is there too, so 4 Immortals, Photon Overcharge, and Guardian Shield.
It's going to go straight for this. He actually blinks straight forwards onto the Immortals. 1 fall, so does the second. A third trying to micro away. He actually focuses down on the Zealot there a little haphazardly, but blinks on out. And that brings the Stalker count a little bit closer together, but now there's only 1 Immortal with a 10 Stalker difference.
And a second one about to come in, though. He has to blink into the Photon Overcharge. There's no time to waste.
Yeah.
He may be able to go into the main base, but he has to play this aggressively. There is no waiting here.
He has to bring down the Immortal count. He can't let that continue on. I'm under the impression he's probably just chrono boosted into those gateways so he can reinforce just a little bit quicker. Keeping those Immortals in a defended position as best he can do behind all of those Stalkers. The blink back here for Kerr isn't too bad, actually, keeping quite a lot of them alive, but he blinks straight on forwards on once again. One of those Immortals falls, so does the second one. Difference in Stalkers now, 16 against 14. The numbers are being evened up here by
Immortal
MaNa.
on the high grounds.
Oh, Kerr, I don't think he's going to be able to break this. It's going to be difficult. Do we wait?
It's 4 gateways versus 3. The Mothership Core is gone.
Yeah,
there's a 4th gateway coming in, which is really good crisis management from MaNa, and another Immortal.
Zealots now get warped in for Kerr. This is a little bit more of a desperate move to try and break this location, have those Zealots tank more of the damage at the front.
2 sentries coming in to help out, push these units away, also spend that gas a little bit better.
And behind that, there's not really much else for Kerr. This is do or die.
Second Immortal's about to pop out now, so...
Big firepower, but no Photon Overcharge. That's a lot of Zealots. If he can actually use those properly in this fight, they really need to close the gap, though.
Oh.
And that force field actually tries to funnel them through, but doesn't block them out.
Yeah, that was a mishap force field.
Immortal on the right-hand side ends up dying, but the Zealots are being choked up in the mineral lines, which is okay there for MaNa, but at the same time, well, the Stalkers are going to get fought back a little bit. That Immortal at the back is so important here for MaNa. Continues on. He actually blinks forwards onto it once again and bringing that down now. It's 12 Stalkers against 8. Kerr is actually winning this out, but he used his blink offensively so that now MaNa had the defensive blink and he was able to even those numbers up again.
20 energy away from another Photon Overcharge and also a halfly constructed Immortal.
13 Stalkers now against 9, but this time both of them have defensive blinks. And how well is this going to work out? A big chunk of the Stalkers got blinked up to the right-hand side, pulls the probes off. He needs those to buffer. 10
energy away for Photon Overcharge, and the Immortal's now out.
That's going to help out a lot, especially since the Stalker numbers are now relatively even.
He's going to have Photon Overcharge with this next fight.
This is MaNa's game. This is MaNa's game as long as he continues to hold on. Kerr, with the waning numbers in Stalkers, he needs an advantage, but there are just none right now.
Yeah, and he can't do this anymore. Another Immortal coming out. The numbers have gone so low that it's not about burst damage from Kerr anymore. It's about the efficiency that he has.
Yeah.
And he's warping him back at home. He knows this is over. MaNa also sees him warping back at home and knows this is over.
Yeah, technically 37 to 36 probes in favor of MaNa.
Yeah.
So just one, but it's the tech that's the big deal. It's the fact that Kerr wasn't mining from these gases for a whole lot of time during this.
+1 attack finish throughout that, which was a great assistance to MaNa. He's just in fantastic position. Picks off a pylon, and that is incredibly just cheeky overall, moving out there to pick off the aggressive pylon from an opponent who's trying to finish him off. +2 attack on the way. I wouldn't be surprised if MaNa added on extra gateways and just went for a 2-base with all these Immortals and Stalkers that he's building up. He can definitely end this.
A great defense there from MaNa to try and bring himself back into this series, which he absolutely needed.
Yeah, he's going to go for this. He's going to continue to warp in Stalkers, because if he continues to warp in Stalkers, likewise will his opponent, but also MaNa has double Immortals. A pylon's been put forward here. I'm not too sure why MaNa's going back. There is an opportunity to do this. Maybe he's a little bit worried about the count of units there is. He doesn't need to attack, which is the most important part here. He can, but he doesn't need to.
I mean, imagine if he just waits for +2 and then goes. I mean, that's massive difference.
I'm looking to see if he's going to add on any further tech, because that tells us if he's going to attack or not. If he just stays on what he has and keeps on adding on units with the money that he banks, then he's most likely just going to attack with +2.
I mean, with what he's seen with his Observer, I don't think there's any need to sit back, right? He's actually waiting for charge is a nice idea, considering his opponent has been fully committed to Blink Stalkers, and closing the gap with a lot of Zealot Warpins would help out, especially when you've got these Immortals behind it. So MaNa's just kind of solidifying this stance.
There's no further tech. If he wanted a tech further, then it would have already been thrown down, whether it had been the Templar Archives or Robotics Bay. So this MaNa is definitely going to go for an attack. On the other side of things, can Kerr hold it? Probably not. He's going to have 2 upgrades as a disadvantage. He's also not going to have... Well, he will have charge, but he'll have no Immortals like MaNa has. So MaNa has everything that Kerr doesn't.
Little probe trying to sneak out here, I guess, trying to get some information, because the Observer was denied in into the natural.
I like the choice of the Templar Archives to add on to this attack here, because if you think about it, MaNa is mining from 4 gases, but only mining from 1 mineral field, because his main is out, which means his gas to mineral balance is very off-skewed. So he can spend that gas in Archons and attack.
Yep, it's true. Oh, doesn't want to get too crazy over here, because that's a lot of Stalkers that could continue that pursuit, but again, Kerr's lack of visibility and lack of control on the map means that he just doesn't know what's behind it. He doesn't know where the Immortals are. He doesn't know what's going on in this game.
Yeah, MaNa goes in, sees a lot of units, sees no real tech, so no real upgrades, and just knows that he's in just a wonderful position
Wow,
here.
+3 even starts here.
Yeah, he's in such a good position. He doesn't need to push the issue. There is a way to win this game right now, but of course that is the riskier option rather than just sitting back.
Yeah. Well, we're going to wait for more Immortals to come out.
Kerr's expecting an attack, which is why we don't see him furthering himself right now. He's just building up an army ready to fight.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a scary spot. Fully enough, his army supply is actually in favor of him. And those... did he ever get charge? Yes, he did get charge himself. So that's quite useful here. If MaNa took a really kind of sloppy engagement, it could happily go in Kerr's way.
They are very similar in army supply. Kerr just with a little bit more supply, but not quality, as there's 3 attack upgrades going to be the difference between them.
That's true.
Third Nexus is thrown down. MaNa just doesn't want to risk it. There is no need for him to attack, apart from finishing the game off. Kerr, on the other hand, would be 3 upgrades down, a bunch of Immortals down, and if this base gets mined from, which he's going to spot with Observer, so this may even tilt the scales that Kerr has to attack. He sees that and says, oh boy, like what do I do? I prefer for you to attack me. You're not going to attack me. You're going to expand. I've got no upgrades. I know you have upgrades.
Yeah, I mean, his best option now is to somehow get there before +3 finishes, get these Zealots on top of the Immortals, and then maybe he can win. But other than that, it's going to be an uphill struggle.
Double time warp here is a massive factor to slow this down.
Blink onto the low ground, they blink onto the high. The Zealots, trying to charge forwards, but that's already a few losses there for Kerr that he didn't necessarily want.
+3 attack is done in 10 seconds, so big. 3 Zealot counter attack from MaNa.
That's enough to really put a stint in this. I mean, just...
This is this battle will be incredibly one-sided.
+3 finished, so it's... so... Geez, those Immortals are actually going to rip things apart. Again, he doesn't really have that many Zealots. It's 8 against 25. Zealots can tank quite a bit, but the Zealots in the mineral line are doing all right for themselves.
All right, well, he's going to have to fight into this. Kerr has to go.
Yeah.
And it's not something you want to fight into. Let's put it that way. He does not want to fight in there, but it seems like his only option left to find a way to win this game. He has to take a fight.
Sended a few Zealots down to that third base, but he isn't really doing anything. MaNa is actually going to force the issue here.
Yeah, look at all the Zealots at the back for Kerr.
Yeah. I mean, he could try and blink the Stalkers back and let those through, allow the floodgates to open, but there's so many still behind this. The blink to the left-hand side didn't let them fully through, and by the time they were let through, the Time Warp was slowing them all down. MaNa now, with these Immortals still alive, 7 in total, is absolutely smashing through Kerr's army.
Yeah, this is over.
Well, a good recovery there by MaNa. What a hold, and there you go. GG. In the end, MaNa is able to take the victory, tying it up 1-1, keeping his hopes alive.
Keeping very composed, I think, is probably the best word there for him. Because if it wasn't for that, then he could have lost this series 0-2. But he gets his first win in this season's Premier League, a first map score, that is. And now he takes it to the third game, and hopefully will feel a little bit more comfortable than he was before this, because without winning a single game all day, of course, that's going to start to take its toll.
Yeah, that's true. All right, so it means we have one map left to determine who's going to go up against Bling in the next series, the final series, in fact, to determine who is going to be the second place going through to the round of 16. But with seeing how that went as again, because it's PvP, this could still go either way, I feel.
It really can, especially the way that these players are playing, quite aggressive, are willing to throw tech choices left and right, depending on how that matchups against their opponent. They don't know, they're just hoping it does well.
Yeah.
Kerr definitely got the upper hand at the beginning of that, but it was MaNa who was able to capitalize on the big attack in the mid part, or the early mid part, and was able to stabilize his lead and hold on to it for the rest of the game. So now moving on to this, Overgrowth is going to be this next map. It is friendly towards Gateway expansions, but that doesn't necessarily mean that we'll see them come out.
Yep, that's true. There are sneaky little ways to be annoying against your opponent as well. I all too often find out that people can warp in across that thing near the natural. That little choke, not little choke, little like jump near the natural, and then a Dark Templars in my mineral line or something like that. Something crazy. But we'll be getting into this in just a little second, as I don't know how this is going to end up. I really don't, because
it is difficult to call.
Yeah.
I think that either one of these players is going to have a harder time versus Bling, because Bling just seems to be playing incredibly good today.
Yeah, he is.
You know, is not quite up there with Snoot, but very close, and seems to be the better of the 3 Protoss players. But always to play for, definitely still. I mean, anything can happen. We've seen, you know, I mean, imagine if what we saw in Game 1 was to happen again or in the next series. Anything can really happen. It's all to fight for.
So everyone's in the lobby and good to go. So we'll be jumping in a second. A big thank you for joining us here, guys. Make sure to hashtag WCS and tweet at us on Twitter. Your tweets can be actually featured in the show as well. Tell us what you think about these games as we now get the countdown going for game number 3 between these two. As we've said, it could go either way. Kerr has shown that he's pretty good in this matchup, but MaNa showed great resilience.
And if you do want to see the players that have made it into the round of 16, fear not, we will let you know later on towards the end of the show how to attend the live event, which will be happening in roughly a month's time or so, just under that, maybe 3 weeks, 4 weeks away. We will give you details on how to get tickets to come watch these players fight it out in the round of 16.
All right, let's get into it. Game number 3 now, as we have spawning down to the bottom left-hand corner, tying up the series 1-1. It is Liquid MaNa, and spawning up to the top right-hand corner here as our blue Protoss. It is Alien Invasion's Kerr.
Righty-ho. So, it is currently MaNa who leads this series 1-0, and... I mean, 1-1, sorry. Looking at this overall, I wonder if one of these players takes a risk in such a difficult position. Do they risk it? Because if they mess up, they are gone. Out, back down to Challenger where they came from. Because remember, both of these players fighting here are the Challenger League players from today's group.
Yep.
Bling and Snoot were both in the round of 16 and the round of 8, respectively, last season.
But both come from such different backgrounds in terms of StarCraft 2. MaNa having won tournaments back in 2012, really being on top of the world in terms of Europe. And then Kerr showing here that he's able to give these big dogs a run for their money. Has, I mean, what? Like weekly tournament Cup wins, that's about it, right? It's not the highest of highs for this guy. So this is his stage. This is where he has to prove himself. If he were to get even a series win in this group, he's already done a whole lot there.
Funny enough, these two players do come from the same background as well. Both come from Brood War. MaNa was playing that game when he was 13 years old. He's currently 20, so he's been playing at a decent level, competitive level that is, for 7 years in StarCraft overall. Kerr older than that. I think 7 years ago, that puts us in 2007, roughly, when MaNa was playing competitively. Kerr was doing that in 2005, if you didn't know already. Playing in multiple qualifiers for TSL, for example, a little bit later on. Come 2007, 2008, played in WCG qualifiers, and was a decent Protoss player within Europe a long, long time ago. So both of these players probably even played against each other in Brood War.
Yeah,
that
probably.
Surprised me.
I don't mind asking that, actually. But anyway.
3-3 in gas here for MaNa. Both players scouting each other at the same time. They have very close gas counts. It's only a little bit in it, like 8 gas apiece, so pretty much identical so far in terms of their openings. And it is a Stalker first for Kerr, who shows us that probably wants to get rid of this probe immediately, but it was the Mothership Core from MaNa. And Chrono Boost being saved by Kerr. Does this mean that he's saving it for Blink? Is this gonna is this into the cybernetics core? What is this? What is your Chrono Boost for, Kurt?
Oh my, did he actually hide this probe in here again? Look at that. Look at that positioning. That's if he gets away with that again.
And he's already gotten away with it. All he needs to do is poke in and you'll see the tech choice.
Jeez. You sneaky guy. Kerr is the he's the probe phantom, man.
But it is MaNa so far who's got the better end of the deal when it comes to the two builds. We saw the position that Kerr was in previously when it was like this. And MaNa won't see what he's up against, but Kerr will. Kerr can adapt around this a little bit more. It's not ideal, but you can plan the Oracle to go in if you time it well. He moves in, sees the Twilight Council.
MaNa's like, God damn it, how does this keep happening?
Again. So MaNa has his cards face up at the moment. Kind of face up, Blink or DT, most likely Blink, and he does go in and see Blink being researched here. What is Kerr going to do, though?
He even zaps the Twilight Council. It's like, yeah, I've seen it, man. I've seen it. But it's Oracle going to be on the way to start things off.
The Oracle is, even though these two builds do slightly favor the Twilight Council player, I would more so lean towards a little bit more Kerr because he's got information that can make his strategy a little bit more powerful. Because the Oracle can go in unexpectedly if MaNa isn't prepared and could do damage and could put Kerr in a good position. And he's backing it up with 2 extra gateways, Chrono Boost in the Cyber Core. He knows that he could be rushed here, and he also knows that he could increase his gateway count, depending on how much damage he does, could branch him down a different angle in this game. But MaNa is expanding behind this. So it's like Blink expansion and robotics facility, so a very safe build here, a build we described he may choose a little bit earlier on.
And with this, I mean, with this Oracle coming in, it doesn't like line up against what MaNa's doing, unless for some reason he spread himself out in really weird places.
Ideally for Kerr, MaNa should have already been starting to get aggressive on the side of the map.
But he's not. He's just going to be sitting back with this expansion and being happy with that. There's the Photon Overcharge, pulls those away. Blink's not done yet, so these Stalkers don't get the easiest time.
Only a couple of hits away there, and Kerr's like, oh no. All right, so throws down the expansion.
And MaNa's going to see that instantly and be like, yay!
Yeah, this is a nice little win there for MaNa. He wasn't out in the open. He played it safe, played it calm, goes in, sees the Forge, so he knows there's no intentions from Kerr to play aggressive himself. MaNa now can either play along the same pathway, can throw down a Forge of his own, or he could plan an attack with Stalkers. He warps in 2 more. Whether I feel keyword here that this is a little bit more protective, more so than aggressive for this Oracle, because doesn't want to always be using Photon Overcharge over and over and over.
Yep, especially with where he's warped him in. That's certainly true. There's also the Observer knows exactly the Oracle positioning, and that's a really lovely thing to have. Yeah. He's actually repositioning the Stalkers at the front, maybe to bait that in so he can blink right under it as it warps in, and there you go. Bye-bye.
Forge down by MaNa as well. So he clears out the Oracle, and it looks like he's going to feint aggression here or put a bit of a pressure on. But in reality, as we can see, he's adding on the Forge. He's going to take gas. He's going to further himself. Kerr spots this. And of course, because of that, is one of 2 options that he could have gone for. Alarm bells are going to be ringing for Kerr. He may stop probe production. He may slow himself down in anticipation for an attack here. But in reality, of course, that's not quite what's happening.
Well, it's chrono boosting into the Robo to get that extra Immortal out.
Yeah, it could have been into the Nexus for more probes, because he doesn't need that extra Immortal.
Exactly. So that's already pushed him in that direction. The Hallucinated Phoenix is going to fly in here and see the Forge is whirring away, so that might be able to help him out a little bit.
Whoa, hold on here.
Hello. Where
was the Photon Overcharge, and why was that Mothership Core picked off?
That was
a mistake.
Craziness. Oh, and an Observer as well. Ooh, MaNa's on top of things in this game.
That was a critical mistake there.
Oh.
MaNa's got a lot of Chrono Boost. Throwing it into the Robo and the Forge now.
He's actually going to get sentries. He got a sentry.
Definitely extracting a lot of value from these units here. This is not quite meant to happen.
Resources lost is good for him. 800 to 150 so far. And, I mean, killing off that Observer means, you know, less time on the Robo for Immortals if he wants to get the Observer out, and he probably will want to eventually. Oh. So, what's he going for now?
2 probes, 3 probes.
All right.
Blinks out. Kerr was expecting a blink in the main.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the disadvantage of losing that Observer, right? You just never really know what's going on the perimeters, and you've always got to be careful, because to lose an Observer, your opponent has to have an Observer there, right?
Yeah, so you look at the Resources Lost tab, there's quite a big difference between these two. Another probe, really beautiful play by MaNa. And overall, 1,000 lost for Kerr, just 150 for MaNa. And MaNa's gone up to +2 attack much faster than his opponent, who is without a Twilight Council for the time being, only just throwing that down. And as is Colossus almost on the way.
+1 armor's an interesting choice here from Kerr, considering
it's because his Twilight Council's late, and he's got +1 attack, and he just kind of needs to go over towards...
Got to do something,
right?
Yeah.
So if you can squeeze out +1 armor, then go to +2 attack.
All right, well... for now, Kerr still has to be in this defensive posture because these Stalkers are actually doing all right. Another worker goes down. And they're on gas as well, which is really irritating because you have to replace them all the time.
Yep, so far, good game from MaNa.
Yeah.
Kerr goes in for a scout. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 gateways he sees. What else does he see? He should be looking for the robotic spaces. Okay, so he sees this as quite a regular +2 Colossus play.
Is he actually going to get another...
Gets another 2.
This is getting out of hand.
Unbelievable that he's able to do that. That shouldn't be happening.
Just like have an Immortal here or 2 and then try and zone it out a little bit, I guess. But
so from this position now, MaNa should be looking at a 3rd very shortly. Neither of them can really attack into each other for an effective fight.
Oh, not the trade you want to go for there. But again, at least he's repositioned his army now to the point where it's making it much harder for those Stalkers to really do anything.
Yeah. Yeah, for me, this is definitely an expansion time for MaNa. He can go to +3 soon. He can throw down the 3rd base, start to further his economy, add on more gateways.
If he finds an opportunity to, well, I mean, either pressure the 3rd or just jump over here with these 4 Stalkers and get more workers and then just, you know, sacrifice them, like, then that's the magic number. Oh, actually, he's just going to deny the 3rd. That's fine as well.
He might not get it, though. It's not enough firepower, I think.
I think if I can force the cancel. Oh, there you go.
Yeah, wow, look at that. Stalkers have done everything. Curse sees the 3rd base, so he knows he kind of has to expand himself. MaNa from this point has thrown down the Twilight Templar Aircraft, but not another robotics facility. So he's not going to heavily commit too much into the Colossus here. And looking at him, he's not really building probes. So he's actually going to move out. So what the goal of this is he's going to sacrifice his probe count to move out, to put that money that would be in probes into an army for the time being, to then attack the 3rd and hopefully kill it of Kerr, to then fall back and continue chrono boosting out heavily on his probes, to land himself a base ahead.
But he does know about this movement out. Seeing that Mothership Core at least, and seeing the rest of the tail end of their army means that Kerr, oh wow, look, he's spreading himself across a great
this is a really good opportunity.
Could actually do quite a bit of damage to that army if he continues on forwards, but he doesn't. Ooh, Time Warp. Doesn't really do much as well with the offensive Time Warp off the back foot. 2nd Time Warp goes down here as Kerr tries to press his advantage on this army that was laying unsuspected of this army that was positioning behind it with the concave. A lot of damage being done. He's actually maneuvering his Zealots to the left-hand side here to try and get a better angle, but there is one Archon trying to work its way on this right-hand side. Really doesn't do a huge amount. 3 Colossi still alive against 1 and a little bit because 1 is so weak. He can't continue to pursue on. He's got to be careful.
Yeah, MaNa's doing really well here.
Yeah.
Really well.
Oh, there's the blink forwards. Tries to catch it out for the cost of a few Stalkers. Not too bad, but now he doesn't have any gateway units to reinforce these Colossi. He's got to be careful about this. Does MaNa has to pull back to the reinforcing pylon.
even though it's so close, I think these 3 Colossus are so important here. And he's trading better than Kerr is.
Ooh, really wanting to hunt down that last Colossus. These 4 Zealots now moving forward. This is a very, very scrappy battle from here on out.
This should be an almost game winner.
Yeah, oh, he gets it. He gets the very, very last second of that.
3 Colossus versus 1 with range. No Mothership Core to stop these guys kiting back. There's an opportunity for a win. You've got to be pushing this. You've got to have the killer instinct. You have to be going for this. Forget about your 3rd base right now, MaNa. This is a win chance.
Oh, with a 4th Colossus rendezvousing as well. This is a lot of firepower that he has behind us, especially since if he sticks around and just continues to warp in, +3 weapons is going to be finished for this army.
He has to go for this. He can fall back, but then that gives Kerr a better chance to, you know, get back into this game. Right now, Kerr's on the back foot. He's on the ropes. He's hurt. This is an opportunity for MaNa to finish with Swan and find himself in the rematch versus Blink.
He sees the entire army, and unfortunately for Kerr, so does he know that his opponent is keeping tabs on him, but he can't do anything about it because he has no anti-air.
3 Archons are going to do a lot of damage versus these Zealots, these charged Zealots. They're not going to really die very fast, these Archons. MaNa's splitting up his forces to go to the natural on the 3rd, and this is where he's going to say that I am better than you, Kerr. I'm a little bit sorry. Well done. Congratulations for being in Premier League, but I would like to play Blink again, please.
This is the execution move as he goes straight on in, focuses down those Colossi. 2 of them fall to a last volley from these. Meanwhile, there's harassment going down in the mineral line as well. This is Kerr's last dying breath here in WCS Europe Premier. And it was valiantly fought, but GG, MaNa will live on and advances to the final series.
And that means that he will get the opportunity to have revenge and a rematch against Blink, who, with the win earlier, extended his head-to-head 3-0, which is starting to really spread themselves quite far away from each other. MaNa's time, MaNa's turn to try to turn things around. But a good effort from Kerr today.
Yeah.
Congratulations on making it to the Premier League, and hopefully you can do well in Challenger to find yourself back once again.
I'm sure we will be seeing him back eventually here in Premier League. But for now, guys, that means we know our final series of the night. It's going to be the rematch, Bling versus MaNa, to determine who gets that 2nd spot in the round of 16. So, guys, join us after the break when we will find out exactly what's going to unfold.